in my domain. Got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane. It's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty. Now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine. We live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For the final time here this season, welcome to a regular season race in Season 6 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. After the checker flag waves today here at M&M Super Speedway, 16 drivers will embark on a 10-race battle to try and become this season's Hersheys Cup Series champion. Now, at this current point in time, we have the opportunity for at least 2 drivers to become a dual champion in the Hersheys Cup Series. But, of course, we're going to have to wait and see if either of those drivers do end up making it into the playoffs. One driver, I think, is locked in. The other driver is kind of a question mark. But it's time to now fill you in with all the scenarios coming into this race in terms of the 16 drivers that have a shot of making it into this season's playoffs. Now, first off, we should mention there are a number of drivers that come into this race already locked into the playoffs, regardless of what happens here today. So let's tell you who they are right now. Brooke Allen, John Arndt, Joshua Collard, Alex Drayton, Benny Watson. They're all locked in due to multiple wins this season. And also locked in, even though they've only got one victory, are drivers Zachary Fitzwater, Charles Sandfer, Tim Walsh, Daniel Voyles, Trent Dunham, Brandon Gonzales, Dallas McIntosh, and K Shearer. So 13 spots are already confirmed for who's going to be in the chase for the championship heading into the playoffs next week. 3 spots are up for grabs. Now, right now, the drivers that hold those spots are Benjamin Miles, RJ Reynolds, and Anthony McCrury. They're basically battling for those 3 positions. The other drivers right now that want to be able to get into the hunt via a win, D Poteet, if he goes to victory lane for a second time this season, he would jump up into one of those spots. And of course, Dylan Young, we've been documenting him trying to get into the top 30 in the points. Well, right now, he is tied with D Poteet for 30th in the standings. Dylan Young needs a good run today to get himself into the playoffs. So this is a driver who was in the Final 4 for the championship last year. There are also, though, drivers that could make their way into the playoffs if they go to victory lane for the first time this season. They would include drivers like Jordan Anderson, J Bryant, Sean Gallighan, Kyle Keith, Elijah Gilbert, Joseph Srigley, Shane Lake, and even, it's close, but even drivers like Cody Smart, Daniel Gilbert, Levi McIntyre, and James McCloud, also Kyle Mathews, they could possibly put themselves in the hunt for a playoff position if they go to victory lane here today. So it ain't all said and done yet for a number of the drivers that are currently in playoff positions. They don't have them yet confirmed for the playoffs. But it's going to be a wild one here today. Ironically enough, our 2 races so far, Trucks and Pizza Next Series, our eventual winners have had no bearing on a driver making the playoffs.
Drivers, start your engines.
As there's command to fire the engines, we've ended up basically having drivers that are struggling in the points going to victory lane, and it's really had no bearing on them making it into the playoffs. So we'll see if that's going to change in today's race or not. Benny Watson and Kyle Mathews will line up on the front row. Watson's locked into the playoffs. Mathews, a former champion with a win, could possibly put himself in playoff competition. And for the final time this season, let's give you your top 10 of the points coming into this race, presented by Golden Corral. 9 former winners in the top 10. Joshua Collard is the points leader. Jordan Anderson in second. Zachary Fitzwater third. Tim Walsh fourth. Charles Sandfer fifth. Then it's Brooke Allen, John Arndt, Daniel Voyles, Trent Dunham, Brandon Gonzales. That is your top 10. Of course, last week, Cole Baker went to victory lane. Baker 36th in the point standing, so he's not close enough to be able to get into the top 30 in the standings should he be able to go to victory lane for a second time here today. But still, maybe he could try and finish out his season with a multi-win season, which I think would be the first time in his career. I don't think he's ever won 2 races in a single season. Benny Watson, his last win was at Daytona, so he knows how to win at the super speedways and qualifies on the pole here, trying to become a 3-time winner as a rookie. I don't think we've ever had that happen in the Hersheys Cup Series. We've had rookies go to victory lane multiple times in a season and 2 times, but I don't think we've ever had a rookie go to victory lane 3 times in a single season. We do have some former winners of this event, and I'll tell you who they are in just a moment, but it is time to go racing here at M&Ms. 13 spots are already confirmed. Who's going to have slots 14, 15, and 16 when the checker flag waves? We're about to find out, because the regular season finale at M&Ms is green. Let's roll. M&M's Super Speedway has been on the Hersheys Cup Series schedule all the way back in Season 1. The inaugural winner, Cody Lamas, back in the number 20 Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Season 2 was Tripantacchio Vernio who went to victory lane. Season 3, it was Dylan Poteet. Season 4, remember Blaine Keys getting pushed to victory lane by Trent Dunham, and the defending winner of this race back in Season 5 was Joshua Michaels. Watson trying to lead the first lap. Shane Lake wants to deny him. Of course, Shane Lake and Benny Watson had that great battle back at Dover when Watson picked up his first career win. Lake's still looking for his first win of his Hersheys Cup Series career, and it will be Watson on the outside leading the first lap. You see some cars down there actually with 2 tires in the grass. I think that was Baskinger, Drayton, and K Shearer. Lake, though, the inside line is going to take the spot. Here come a couple of drivers already locked into the playoffs. Actually, a few drivers there. Sandfer, Gonzales, and Tim Walsh. Now, basically, all they're going to try and do here today is get up to the front, win this race, and get themselves some bonus points for when the point standings are reformatted. Right now, Brooke Allen would have the number 1 seed with her 3 wins. And then the number 2 seed would be a 4-way tie right now between Collard, John Arndt, Alex Drayton, and Benny Watson. Sean Gallighan mentioned he's one of those drivers that if he goes to victory lane, he would get a playoff position. Comes into this race 14th in the points. And he's trying to get himself to the front. Here comes his teammate Anthony McCrury, who at this point looks to be possibly the only Seth Cole Baker Motorsports car to represent in the playoffs. However, if Gallighan does go to victory lane, I believe the car that the driver he would displace out of the playoffs would be his teammate McCrury. Now, I think he started in the 8th position, Dylan Young. We're going to keep tabs on the 2 car during the course of this race. Some drivers he needs to be ahead of to be able to get into the top 30 in points include James McCloud, Kyle Mathews, James Richardson, and Dylan Poteet. And I saw a couple of those drivers up here at the front, or at least close to the front. Mathews was up here near the start, and I thought I saw James McCloud working his way towards the front there as well. And that 51, there he is. He's in a 4-wide situation, but he is inside the top 10, crossed the line in 7th last time by. I'm trying to remember back, out of those former winners that I was talking about, if any of them ended up being a kind of a shot clock cheese to get into the playoffs. The only one I think there really was Blaine Keys back in Season 4. His win got him into the playoffs last minute. But last year, Joshua Michaels was already locked into the playoffs. Back in Season 3, I'm pretty sure Dylan Poteet was already locked into the playoffs. And if memory serves me correctly, Season 1 and Season 2, Cody Lamas and Tripantacchio Vernio, both those cars were non-charter drivers that went to victory lane. So none of those race wins had any bearing really on a driver making it into the playoffs or not. You saw the U.S. Army Chevrolet Camaro back there of Blaine Keys. He'd love to be able to win here for the second time in his career, even though I don't think it would have any bearing on him being able to pull a shot clock cheese and get into the playoffs this year, as he is dead last in the points. As Jessica Shelton made a move there around Sean Gallighan for the race lead. Now Shelton, of course, a former winner this year, but she is 40th in the point standings, and she is about 80 points back from 30th in the standings. So even if she does get her second win of the season, she wouldn't make it into the playoffs. Gallighan with the crossover, going to try and take the top spot back, and here comes Alex Drayton in the 77. Along with Brooke Allen, a couple of drivers have gone to victory lane more than once this season. Drayton twice, Allen 3 times. And they're going to make it 4 wide going into turn 1. It looks like it'll be the 3 car, Brooke Allen, that will go to the front. Now we mentioned that the big battle for the final few spots in the playoffs right now in terms of former winners would be McCrury, RJ Reynolds, and Benjamin Miles. I see the 69 of Reynolds working his way up towards the front of that inside line behind the pole sitter Benny Watson. Also see the 31 of Dylan Poteet there behind Keith Batson. Second win here would get him into the playoffs. There's a lot of scenarios here that we have to keep track of, and more often than not, when I try and keep all these scenarios straight in my head, I normally end up making a mistake. I actually, with our regular season finale here yesterday, Pizza X Series drivers, I actually got all 12 of the playoff drivers correct in my head. So that was actually a first, I think. Which means I'll probably make a mistake in this one. Side by side between Keith Batson and RJ Reynolds, Dylan Poteet's got John Arndt pushing him up the inside line, and here comes the 31 with a big run. And he'll go 3 wide for the lead going into that corner. John Arndt picking up his second win of his career a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually, not a couple of weeks ago. It was actually just last week when he won the first dual race at DuQuoin. And it made it his very first multi-win season. He's got his teammate right behind him there, the 38 of J Baskinger. Now Baskinger comes into this race currently 32nd in points. I don't think with a win he'd be able to get high enough to be able to compete with McCrury, Reynolds, and Miles. If he had a win already this season, then a second win could certainly help his cause, but since he's got a 0 in the win column, I don't think Baskinger can make the playoffs even with a trip to victory lane. Been good racing up here at the front. We've completed 7 laps. We're about to complete our 8th lap, and they've been able to keep it clean, which means that potentially, and I don't want to jinx it, but potentially, if they do keep it all together, we could see green flag pit stops for the first time this week. Now, we did have some green flag stops take place in our Pizza X Series race, I'm aware of that, but not everybody had to come to pit road at that point. Some drivers were able to stay out and make it to the end. So this would end up being the first time that we'd have to see all 42 cars come to pit road. And did I just jinx it? Did I just see the caution lights on? And I jinxed it. Caution is out. Joseph Srigley in the 21's about to go a lap down here to the leaders. Let's see if he can beat them back to the start-finish line and remain on the lead lap. As Benny Watson started out in front, now moves back to the front. It looks like Srigley will get a very timely caution. I think he will get back to the line ahead of the leaders, or will he? Oh my goodness, he won't. Watson at the last minute is going to lap the 21. And we got a wreck coming to the line. McCrury is spun. Sakuli, Gallighan, and Bryant are involved as well. And they're still wrecking. Oh no, oh no, oh my goodness. They're just piling in. Richardson's up on his lid, so is Fitzwater. Oh man, oh, and Chris Dodd comes flying in. Oh, brother. Well, that just changed the aspect of this race, didn't it? They wrecked coming back to the caution. McCrury's got damage now, a lot of it. Bryant, Anderson. I saw a lot of drivers with damage. Oh, they're still wrecking back here on the back straightaway. Saw a lot of drivers with damage that could have gotten into the playoffs with a win here, including Gallighan, Bryant, and Anderson. They're all getting into formation now, but boy, this is not going to be good for a number of drivers that were looking like they had a chance to get into the playoffs. I think that they'll more than likely hit pit road here. Everybody will, maybe with the exception of Srigley. Yeah, Srigley staying out. He, I think, had to make an unscheduled stop here under green flag conditions. Emmanuel Hartnett in the 83 is on pit road. He could very well have been the reason for the caution. There's Fitzwater, there's Kat Batson, that's J Richardson and C Dodd. We'll follow the 24 of Watson on pit lane. Let's see what they do here. I would be surprised if it's not a 4-tire stop. Looked like they were going at least for right sides on T Walch and J Shelton back there. Going to do at least 2 tires. Why not go for 4? You got to get the thing full of fuel. No, 2-tire stop for Watson. And Watson's down and away. Looks like Walsh will come out in second with Shelton in third. 2-tire stops for those drivers. As you already see there on the 10th position, Jordan Anderson's out of the race. So there goes his playoff hopes. So we're under caution for the first time here today at M&Ms. Thanks to my big mouth. Let's go and take a look at a replay. Well, here's what happened. This was actually closer towards the rear of the field. And it's going to start between Benny Watson and Daniel Gilbert, I believe, there. That yellow and blue car down there. Yep, there's the contact. Watson kind of crowds Gilbert out of room. They go up and both clip the left rear quarter panel of C Dodd. That sends him up the track right in front of J McCloud. So McCloud already had damage prior to the wreck we had in the front straightaway. I think Cody Smart in the 12 may have also gotten a little piece of that. Now look who's right behind this. Dylan Young just squeezes through. Wow, that was a close call for the 2. And that's what brings out the caution. Now let's jump up a little bit further. Let's jump up to the 44 of Sean Gallighan. Because I think he might be somewhere around where the wreck on the front straightaway was triggered. And I don't know if this may have had something to do maybe with the slower car, the 21 of Joseph Srigley or not. Okay, let's watch Gallighan. Also keep an eye on the black car on the inside line there, Anthony McCrury. Because those were the first 2 cars I saw that snapped around. Now, where does the contact initially begin here? Oh, wow. So Cooley had to really lift, apparently, because he was getting a big run on the 21, and Gallighan just kind of ran him over. That sends McCrury and J Bryant down to the inside. And then here's where the big hits are going to come, as these drivers slide back up right in front of traffic. All these drivers are just now coasting for pacing. Nowhere for Charles Sandfer to go. He's going to get involved. You're going to see Jordan Anderson get a piece of it back there. Wow, Sandfer got 2 hits. One on McCrury and one on J Bryant. Kyle Keith gets squeezed up into the wall. Joshua Collard gets into it there. Dylan Poteet gets a piece. Daniel Voyles comes flying in, as does Benjamin Miles. Trent Dunham gets nailed from behind. And just watch the carnage. Look at Richardson up and into the air. Fitzwater's up and over. Kyle Mathews was up on 2 wheels. It's Daniel Gilbert back there. He's jacked up underneath of Kat Batson's Lincoln Continental. Gallighan got through that relatively unscathed, to be honest. He got slowed down enough to avoid. I think Leon Alvarise got a piece of that. Cody Smart was involved. And then watch C Dodd, the 88, who was involved in the first caution, in that caution there, and he comes flying in and nails Cody Smart and then splits the gap right between Sean Gallighan and Joshua Collard. Cole Baker, last week's winner, one of last week's winners, did a great job getting through that wreck. But there's Mathews with a lot of damage. And look at Dylan Young in the 2 car. I think he got damage. Yes, he did. A lot of front and rear end damage on that machine. He's got to continue, though. He cannot retire, and I think there's actually black smoke erupting from underneath his car, so that could be his playoff hopes dashed as he was able to get through the first wreck but did not get through the second wreck, and it looks like Dylan Young will not be advancing into the playoffs here this season. That's a tough break for that team, who had 2 wins early on in the season but struggled for the majority of the remainder of the season, and now as a result will not be representing in this year's chase for the championship. Well, as we get ready to go back green, Joseph Srigley did indeed stay out and did not come to pit road, so he is, I believe, on the tail end of the lead lap in 29th place. He'll restart ahead of the race leader, Benny Watson, as Kat Batson's bringing her wounded car to pit road. Zachary Fitzwater a lap down, but very badly damaged on the inside line there. It'll be Watson with the lead, Walsh second, Shelton third, Baskinger fourth, RJ Reynolds fifth, then it's Gilbert, Lake, Brooke Allen, Dallas McIntosh, Alex Drayton. The top 10 as we go back green. And Fitzwater hopefully is going to get out of everybody's way here, as he is obviously very off the pace. Drivers out of the race, and a number of them, their playoff hopes dashed. They include the following: Jordan Anderson, Kyle Mathews, James McCloud, Dylan Young, James Richardson, Chris Dodd, John Arndt, Daniel Gilbert, Cody Smart, Emmanuel Hartnett, and Leon Alvarise. I was looking at seeing if there is any possible way with where Dylan Young finished with other drivers that were involved, if he still could mathematically make it into the playoffs, but a number of the drivers that he was trying to run down, Kyle Mathews and James McCloud, they are going to finish out of the race but ahead of Dylan Young. And Dylan Poteet, Jake Baskinger are still running, so it's looking like Dylan Young will not be able to crack the top 30 in the point standings here today, and as a result, he will not be in the playoffs. So that opens up the door for Benjamin Miles, RJ Reynolds, and Anthony McCrury. I think now all they have to worry about, especially McCrury in the 61, would be Dylan Poteet going to victory lane for a second time this season. And, as we mentioned, Dylan Poteet is now looking like he was going to go 4 wide for the lead there. And drivers such as J Bryant, Sean Gallighan, Kyle Keith, Elijah Gilbert getting a win. And then Joseph Srigley would also fit that criteria, but he's right now pinned a lap down. So what McCrury needs to hope for at this point in time is for basically another repeat winner that's already locked into the playoffs to go to victory lane. Either that or someone that's way down in the point standings that would not affect the points. Let's find out where our bubble drivers currently are at. There's McCrury. McCrury is scored in the 25th position on the lead lap. There's Benjamin Miles. He is currently, I believe, 20th. He's still on the lead lap. And where's the 69 of RJ Reynolds? There he is. He is currently scored 10th place. I think that's going to change here, but he's at least up in the lead pack. Now, as far as drivers that have an opportunity to get a win to get into the playoffs, there's Elijah Gilbert going for the lead. He's one of those drivers. Also, Kyle Keith, Sean Gallighan, and JT Bryant, where are they at? Bryant has lost the draft, so it doesn't look like he'll be able to do it. Gallighan back here with Trent Dunham. Looks like he is still up to speed, but I don't think that they're up with the lead pack. No, they're not. So he's going to need a caution to get back into this. And there is Kyle Keith. He is on the tail end of this lead pack, so he's still got a shot. So it looks like the 98 and the 29 could be the 2 cars potentially to play spoiler here, as well as Dylan Poteet if he can go to victory lane for a second time this season. And of course, as we mentioned at the top of the program, he's a former winner of this event back in Season 3. Brooke Allen trying to pick up her 4th win of her career, which would tie her for most wins all time in a single season, with Dylan Poteet, who had 4 wins back in Season 4. Joseph Srigley there in the 21, running in the second position on the track, not in second place. as he is a lap down to the leaders, but trying to keep himself at least in positioning to be able to make a move on the leaders if he can get a caution to get back on the lead lap, as R.J. Reynolds now goes for the top position. We are just now past the halfway point, basically. We still got about 50% of this race still to go, so anything can still happen. And I don't think these drivers can make it on fuel. I think they're going to have to pit at least one more time, whether it be under caution or whether it be under green. J Baskinger back out in front. Now, I believe last season, all three of Flying Aces racing cars went to victory lane. Garrett Sinner's last win that year at DuQuoin, John Arndt's at Riki Raceway, and Baskinger went to victory lane that year, I'm pretty sure. No, he didn't. No, Baskinger hasn't been to victory lane since season 4. And that was at the season finale that year at Auto Club. So Baskinger is running over a year winless streak. And of course, it was announced that next year is going to be his last year with Flying Aces Racing. As Keith Batson out in front. Batson looking for his first win of the season. He's been close the last couple of weeks. Batson's done a great job climbing out of the cellar of the point standings, now up to 33rd in points. This is a driver that was down 38th, 39th, 40th in points for a majority of the season as they make their way around the damaged machine of Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater's already locked into the playoffs, so he's just out there logging laps right now, just trying to get as decent a finish as he can. Coming into this race, the 5 drivers that are in that crucial position in the points, bottom 5 in points, that would lose their charter heading into next season should they finish there, are Johnny Gardner, Joshua Sekuli, Jessica Shelton, Kat Batson, and Blaine Keys. And I believe out of all 5 of those drivers, they are all still running. Kat Batson is very badly damaged. As Shane Lake in the 55, did he just come off pit road, or did he get forced down to the apron? I think he just made a pit stop. And Lake was on the lead lap, so we may be getting those green flag pit stops I spoke of. We might be right within that fuel window now for these drivers to come to pit road and make it the rest of the way. Elijah Gilbert out in front here, former Pizza Hut X Series champion. If he wins, he's into the playoffs. If he wins, he also would knock out his teammate Anthony McCrury, I believe. Right now, with R.J. Reynolds running where he is, he'd be locked into the playoffs. And Benjamin Miles right now in 20th with McCrury back in 25th. Miles would currently be locked into the playoffs. So the driver that's on the hot seat right now, due to the fact we know now that Dylan Young will not be making it into the playoffs, into the top 30 in the standings, is Anthony McCrury. McCrury is the guy on the hot seat, and he needs to have someone like a Benny Watson or a Dallas McIntosh go to victory lane here, so that way he gets that final spot in this season's playoffs. Last drivers he wants to see go to victory lane would be Poteet or Elijah Gilbert. Where's the 29 of Kyle Keith? Thought he was in this lead pack. Yeah, he's still with the lead pack. Just hasn't really made his way to the front. So don't count that 29 car out either. Slow car they're going to have to deal with. Well, not really a slow car. Johnny Gardner. Gardner is a little off the pace, but not much. Will not merge with this group. I believe Gardner was the last car on the lead lap. Is Joseph Srigley going to try and get his lap back here? That was actually a battle for position right there between the 7 and the 15. Wow, he really backed off. But that was a battle for position between the 7 and 21. Walsh is dropping back here. Looks like Benny Watson doing the same. Lost a lot of momentum there, did Tim Walsh, though. As we've got a battle here for the lead. They're catching the slow car of Joshua Collard. Ooh! That was close. Keith Batson rather, wanted to get to the inside of Collard. Collard stayed up as high as he could, and when Batson went to the inside, Brooke Allen was already there, and that was close. Batson nearly went around off the nose of the 3. Now they're all trying to maneuver their way around that damaged 33 of Collard. As the battle is on for the lead here, Shelton is currently in possession of it. Johnny Gardner's a lap down, but here comes Dylan Poteet. Here comes Dallas McIntosh. McIntosh trying to bookend the regular season with victories. He won the season opening Daytona 500. Now trying to win the regular season finale here at M&Ms. Dylan Poteet on the bottom. He's got drafting help back there in the form of Cole Baker and teammate Alex Drayton. And Poteet's going to try and go to the lead. Poteet trying to pull a shot clock cheese here with his second win of the season to make it into the playoffs. I'm a little curious about when Shane Lake came to pit road, and this is why. Here comes Poteet, Drayton, Batson almost ran him over there. Kyle Keith is in, as well as Joseph Srigley. Here comes some others. Levi McIntyre, Trent Dunham, Joshua Sakuli, and K Shearer. So now it's down to pit stops. This is the money stop. These pit stops taking place around 9 laps to go. It's going to split the field up too. Shelton and Baker 1-2. Couple of former winners from this season that are struggling in the points. Both looking to get their second win of the season. Johnny Gardner had a big run there down the back straightaway and tried to get to the inside of his future teammate, Cole Baker. And now Gardner moves up, which means I think these drivers have just indicated they're coming to pit road. And here they come. Whoa, little contact there between Benny Watson and Cole Baker. As I believe everybody from the lead pack is hitting pit road this lap. Baker and Shelton, Watson, Keys, Baskinger, McIntosh, Gallighan, Tim Walsh, Elijah Gilbert, Brooke Allen, R.J. Reynolds, as well as the lap car of Joshua Collard. So now, right here could be the potential battle for the race lead, depending on where they cycle around with the drivers that just came to pit road. A couple of teammates there. Alex Drayton and Dylan Poteet, both former winners this season. Drayton with 2 wins and Poteet with 1. Let's see where these two come out in relation to those other drivers that just hit pit road and are just now leaving. They're going to battle side by side here, which is going to hurt their speed. They're going to get by Blaine Keys. They're going to get by Brooke Allen. R.J. Reynolds just ahead. They're going to get by him, but they're not going to get to Shelton or Baker. However, I think Baskinger just got around Shelton, and I believe that is the battle for the race lead, as Benjamin Miles is now hitting pit road in the 25. I believe Baskinger will cycle around to the top position with Chevys all out in front in the top 5. Baskinger, Shelton, Baker, Drayton, and Poteet. As we wait for the monitor to update itself, indeed, Baskinger is the race leader. But not for long. Here comes a big run for Jessica Shelton. Woo! Maybe some contact there between Cole Baker and Jake Baskinger. Chevy SS's sweeping the top 5 right now. It's Shelton with the lead, Drayton in second, Poteet's third, 4th is Cole Baker rather, 5th is Jake Baskinger, 6th Brooke Allen, 7th is Blaine Keys, 8th place is R.J. Reynolds, 9th place right now is Keith Batson, 10th Benny Watson, 11th is Elijah Gilbert, 12th is Kyle Keith, 13th is Dallas McIntosh, and 14th is Sean Gallighan. 15th place right now, Levi McIntyre. 16th would be Trent Dunham. 17th is Joshua Sakuli. 18th is Tim Walsh. 19th, K Shearer. And your top 20, I believe right now, would be completed by Daniel Voyles, with 21st place Benjamin Miles, 22nd Shane Lake, 23rd Charles Sandfer, 24th J Bryant. This is a battle for 25th between Brandon Gonzales and Anthony McCrury. And I believe that would leave us with 26 cars on the lead lap still. No, I'm sorry. 27 cars would be on the lead lap, but no longer, as Johnny Gardner, now a lap down, he was the last car on the lead lap before making that pit stop. And you got Joseph Srigley 28th, Joshua Collard 29th, Fitzwater's in 30th, and that's the last of the cars that are still running on the racetrack. When they hit the stripe this time, it's going to be 5 laps to go, and they're catching the 25th and 26th place cars of McCrury and Gonzales. Baskinger in the wrong lane. He's stuck up high, and that's going to allow R.J. Reynolds down low to take the spot. Now, as these drivers get held up with this traffic, is that going to help this group back here of Gilbert, Watson, McIntosh, Batson, Gallighan, and Keith? Gilbert and company were about 5.5 seconds back from the top 7. And the top 7 still getting kind of split up here. Now Baker, Baskinger, and Keys all getting held up. That leaves only 4 cars up in this lead pack. I don't know if there's going to be enough time for Gilbert and those others to be able to catch up here. This right now is a good scenario for Anthony McCrury, who's just back there watching this, because right now if the 69, 77, or 3 go to victory lane, he's in the playoffs. He has to hope that the 31 of Dylan Poteet doesn't get up to the front. Like I said, our Pizza Hut X Series race yesterday and our Taxley Truck Series race 2 days ago, our race winners had no bearing on anything to really do with the playoffs. Yesterday we had Jake Rogers, who was I think 40th in the point standings, go to victory lane, so that had no bearing on the playoffs grid. And we had Zach Winkle, who was 39th in the points in the Truck Series race, go to victory lane, so that had no bearing on the playoffs. This is not what McCrury wants to see. Dylan Poteet looking for the lead. He's trying to take it from his teammate Alex Drayton. Got 2 former winners at this track up here in this lead pack. Dylan Poteet, who won here in Season 3. Blaine Keys, who won here in Season 4. Drayton still out in front. How much of a block would he put on his teammate Dylan Poteet? Or would we see shades of Season 4 where one teammate that's locked in will try and help another teammate get locked in with a victory? Trent Dunham pushed his teammate Blaine Keys to victory lane back in Season 4. Dunham was already locked into the playoffs and had also put Blaine Keys in the playoffs. Will we see a little deja vu here today? Poteet's looking. How much room is Drayton going to give him? Not much. And Blaine Keys is going to stay up on the top side, which means Poteet will have no forward momentum here on the straightaway. As a matter of fact, Poteet may drop back to 3rd place. Keys might clear him, and he does. 2 laps to go here. And I'm looking back at that gap to 8th place. And it's not decreasing quickly enough, I don't think, for any of those drivers to be able to get up here with these top 7. So a couple of hopefuls back there like Gilbert, Gallighan, and Keith. Doesn't look like they're going to have a shot to be able to have a win and you're in scenario here at M&Ms. Look at Brooke Allen going 3 wide as they've got a slow car to deal with up ahead just in a moment here. I think that was J Bryant in the 22. It is. He's on the tail end of the lead lap, but he's about to go a lap down. Where are they going to catch him? Here on the front straightaway. As the white flag is displayed, 1 more lap to go. Who's going to take the checkered flag here at M&Ms? Here comes Baskinger for 2nd place on Baker as Brooke Allen shows the way, trying to pick up her 4th win of the season, which would tie her for most in a single season with Dylan Poteet. Baskinger's got a big run here down the back straightaway, though. He might try and make a move down here into turn 3. He's right there. Why isn't he diving to the inside? There he goes. He waited to the very last minute when Brooke Allen couldn't throw a block. And Baker's going to go with him. Out of turn 4, another slow car. That's Fitzwater. Baskinger's going to go low. Baker's going to try going high. Now has to go middle. Baskinger uses the 59 as a pick. Baskinger gets his first win of the season here at M&Ms Superspeedway. Completes the sweep for the season. All 3 of the Flying Aces racing cars go to victory lane at least 1 time this year. It's the 5th win for the team overall this season. And it's the first for Baskinger since Auto Club of Season 4. So he snaps that winless streak. which, if my calculations are correct, would be a 62-race winless streak here today at M&Ms. And that's a driver that Anthony McCrury would have no problem seeing going to victory lane here, as I do believe J Baskinger could very well have just secured Anthony McCrury a spot in the playoffs with this victory. Now, the gap between Baskinger and McCrury coming into this race was 30 points, and I don't think Baskinger was able to make up 30 points. He would basically have to have McCrury finish in 31st or worse, and McCrury finished in 25th. So I don't think Baskinger has taken McCrury's spot, but I could be wrong. Could be very wrong. I don't think McCrury led a lap today. Baskinger did. Let me do some calculations here. Baskinger might very well have snatched away that final playoff spot, actually, now that I'm looking at it. It was exactly 30 points separation between Anthony McCrury and Jake Baskinger. Now, Baskinger, with his win, let's see here, with his win, the most points that Baskinger can accumulate for winning, leading a lap, and leading the most laps is, or actually I don't think he led the most laps, so for leading a lap and winning is 51 points. So let's calculate that. 51 points for Baskinger. Anthony McCrury finished officially in the 25th position, and I don't think McCrury led a lap, so it's 24 points that it's 21 points that 25th place gets. So if we subtract 21 from 51, that is 30 points exactly. Oh my goodness. Do we have a tie for the final playoff position? Are you kidding me? We may end up having a tie between Baskinger and McCrury, and if that's the case, then we're going to end up having a 17-car playoff system. Wow. I didn't think Baskinger had a shot. But now, according to the calculations, he could very well have a shot. And if he did lead the most laps, which I'm not certain he did, I don't think he did, but if he did lead the most laps, that'd be an extra bonus point, and that would move him in and McCrury out. It all comes down to that one bonus point of whether he led the most laps or not. My goodness. But if Baskinger and McCrury are tied for the final playoff position, both of them are going to get into the playoffs. And that would mean that all three of the Flying Aces racing cars would be in the playoffs this season, which I don't think they've done that since Season 4, when Baskinger, Sidner, and John Arndt all ended up making the playoffs. Wow. Anyway, your finishing results here. Baskinger with the win and potentially a playoff berth because of that. I said that the last two race winners this weekend have not had any bearing on the playoffs. Well, that wasn't the case here today. R.J. Reynolds, he'll take part in his first Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. He needed a good run, got it, second place. Alex Drayton, he'll be in the playoffs. He finishes third. Baker in fourth. Dylan Poteet, fifth place. He needed a win, and he didn't get it, so I don't think that Poteet is going to be in the playoffs. But still a good run here at M&Ms. Brooke Allen, we know she'll be in the playoffs. She'll be in the number 1 seed as she finishes in 6th. Blaine Keys in 7th. Benny Watson will be in his first chase. He gets 8th, 9th for Elijah Gilbert. And Dallas McIntosh, he will also be in the playoffs as he finishes in 10th. Rest of the other drivers that I'm pretty sure are going to be in the playoffs, where'd they finish? Tim Walsh was 15th. Trent Dunham in 16th. K Shearer 18th. Charles Sandford 20th, Daniel Voyles in 21st. Benjamin Miles was the last car to finish on the lead lap in 22nd, but I think that's enough for him to get into the playoff system. Anthony McCrury, boy, that one bonus point, we're going to have to see. He finishes 25th. Was it good enough? Joshua Collard, 28th. For him, Brandon Gonzales in 26th. And then the rest of the playoff drivers, with the exception of Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater finishes in 29th. And then the rest of the playoff drivers finish out of the race. John Arndt in 38th. And I believe he might have been the only playoff driver that retired out of the race. And, of course, the big heartbreak probably would have to be Dylan Young. 35th out of the race. Got involved in that wreck coming to the caution flag and will not make it into the top 30 for his 2 wins to count towards a playoff position. So a guy who was in the Final Four last year will not be competing for the championship this season. So if my calculations are correct, 17 drivers will be battling for the championship this season, and what a shot clock cheese move for J Baskinger taking this win. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race, though, from M&Ms. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and become part of the crew today. We have shown your full finish results. These are your rookie point stands, your overall point stands, and we will reveal to you your grid for your 16 or 17, whichever the case may be, drivers that will battle for the championship here this season. We hope you guys enjoy the chase. Trucks, Pizza Hut X Series, and Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championships begin next week. First race coming from Chicagoland. So until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the SRA Off-Playing Racing at its best. The chase for the Hersheys Cup Series Championship has begun.